Hello, my name is Ruben Blades, and this is my city. This is where I was born, Panama. And I grew up with rock and roll, boleros and bossa novas, Elvis Presley, and Benny Moré. I moved to New York in 1974 with $100, a bag, a guitar, and a dream to be a singer. And New York was a reminder that to be Latino is to be black, white, brown, to carry very different histories, very different memories, to share a language perhaps, but to speak it with different accents. And yet for many of us, to be Latino was to live in a world that beats in Clave. This was the heartbeat of our music, and that was our common language. To speak of música latina is to speak of rancheras from Mexico, merengues from the Dominican Republic, sambas from Brazil, tango from Argentina, or Andean music from Peru. It's a music as diverse as the people who created it. And for the next hour, we will sample two traditions in Latin music, Afro-Cuban music and popular song. From Jelly Roll Morton's Latin tinge to pop artists like Gloria Estefan, Afro-Cuban music has been a continuous presence in North American culture. But one defining moment happened in 1943. Cuban saxophonist Mario Bauzá, the founder and musical director of Machito and his Afro-Cubans, brought together old Afro-Cuban rhythms and the fresh, rich harmonies of jazz. The piece was called Tanga, and it signaled the birth of a new genre that came to be known as Latin jazz, or more accurately, Afro-Cuban jazz. It was a music with the energy of the new world, but also deep roots. It was streetwise and brash, but also elegant and generous and hopeful. It was the sound of a nation of immigrants.
Tanga, buroboya. Machito llegó, no, 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 no.
He had one thing that was unique: rhythm. The rhythm section. You had to dance to that rhythm. If you didn't dance to that rhythm, you were dead. So they had to had a good rhythm section. Now, if on top of that you have this rich horn concept and rich harmonies, then you have two things that to do that no other band had at the time. The other bands were followers then. See, this was a new concept in terms of playing Cuban music with and incorporating as much richness as possible.
Tanga was almost ritual, and people danced to it. The tempo was incredible, and everyone would be on the dance floor. I mean, they'd be screaming. When he would start that number, they would scream and run to the floor so they could dance, and everybody wanted to dance in front of Machito, which of course was a little difficult considering all the people on the dance floor. And the Palladium had a large dance floor. But that's what would happen when Tanga went on. The people just went for it.
The steps just came because his music drove you to that. You know, your body did things that you didn't even know you could do. He brought you to a frenzy. That Palladium, when I used to walk up those steps were rocking. Everything was rocking when you heard that, you know. It was so steamy. You know, hot, hot, hot.
Y lo bueno de todo eso era que se juntaban los pobres con los ricos, porque el que pagaba 3 pesos allí entraba, bailaba tomaba lo que podía, pero después venían aquella gente que ponían aquellas mesas con botellas y qué sé yo. Y era negro y blanco. Era negro, chino, judío, de todas clases, de todas las nacionalidades que habían aquí, bailaban en el palero.
You know what is the more important thing about that marriage? That you don't have to lose your identity. Just have their own identity, and the Afro-Cuban rhythm got their own identity, and they just shook hands together and they work together. We had to lose a beat. That was natural. That's what I worried so much. I said, this can be not. They have to be. They can work together and improve. Now, anybody play now.
I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you what. The Latin guys have advanced playing American music more than American music has advanced playing Latin music. Right this minute.
Dizzy Gillespie first learned the rhythms from Mario Bauzá when they were bandmates in the Cab Calloway Orchestra. And he became a lifelong champion of Afro-Cuban jazz. Gillespie was revolutionizing jazz then with a new sound called bebop. But he was also still intrigued by Afro-Cuban rhythms. So he called his friend Mario Bauzá, and Bauzá recommended a young conga player who has just arrived from Cuba, Chano Pozo. The collaboration between Dizzy Gillespie and Chano Pozo was brief, but it left an enduring legacy with pieces like Manteca and Tintindeo. In his last big band, the United Nation Orchestra, Gillespie was still inspired by Afro-Cuban music and still nurturing young Latino talent like Panamanian pianist Danilo Perez and Puerto Rican conga player Giovanni Hidalgo.
Dizzy dejó una tradición, dejó un legacy, como se llama, un legado que lo empezó Mario Bauzá en realidad. Entonces, nosotros somos la última rama de todo ese periodo. Siempre era la adquisición de valores de otros lados, era bien importante para él. Y ese es el legado que él ha dejado para mí. Entonces para mí, para todos los que estuvimos ahí, porque todos tenemos responsabilidad de ver qué hacemos con toda esa información y todos esos momentos lindos que vivimos. Eso tiene como vuelvo y digo, causa y efecto. Eso tiene una relación.
Over the years, Afro-Cuban music emerged in the United States in many forms. The Afro-Cuban jazz of Mario Bauzá, Dizzy Gillespie's Cubop, the mambo craze in the 1950s, the New York salsa sound in the 1970s. But those styles share common roots, el son y la rumba. The name rumba might sound familiar. There was a rumba craze that swept the United States in the 1930s and brought Cuban music to Broadway and every ballroom across the country. It was a taste of authentic Cuban music, but it was not rumba. The authentic rumba is a music of drums and voices. It grew in the tenements of the poor neighborhoods of Havana and Matanzas. The most important rumba group in Cuba is Los Muñequitos de Matanzas. It was founded in 1952 by a group of dock workers in the port city of Matanzas, east of Havana, and it was organized just to play local parties. The original group featured just drummers and singers. Dancers were added much later in 1965. At first, it was called Guaguancó Matancero. The current name of the group comes from its first hit, the B-side in their first recording back in 1953. It was a rumba guaguancó called Los Muñequitos, and it was dedicated to the newspaper comics, or Muñequitos, and it was a hit. From then on, Guaguancó Matancero was known in Cuba as Los Muñequitos de Matanzas.
Cororo, patrocina Cororo, vamos a ver. Cororo, patrocina Cororo, aguanto rumbero, la rumba buena te está llamando, vamos a ver. Cororo, patrocina Cororo, aguanto Cororo, patrocina Cororo, vamos a ver. Cororo, patrocina Cororo, vamos a ver.
En los años 40, 50 era un tabú tocar rumba en Cuba. Entonces se perseguía cuando se hacía una rumba con tumbadoras. Eran tan ingenuos que los rumberos entonces tocaban la rumba con cajones. Hacían la misma rumba, pero con cajones de vela, de bacalao, de laterales de escaparate, de todo lo que encontraban. Cucharas con gavetas de mesa de noche. Entonces cuando llegaba la policía para interrumpir aquella rumba, veían que no habían tumbadoras, por lo tanto no había rumba. Se estaba tocando en cajones y de esa forma se burlaba las leyes, ¿no?, que habían de prohibición, porque la rumba, igual que los negros, era un tabú en aquel país. Fundamentalmente la rumba nace en España. Es la rumba flamenca de los gitanos. Eso llega a Cuba cuando llegan los españoles. Entonces, cuando se forma la identidad cubana, que es la fusión entre África y España en Cuba, se logra hacer ya a fines del siglo pasado la rumba cubana. Es decir, se hace la rumba flamenca, pero con los tambores africanos. Así es como surge la rumba. Entonces la primera rumba es la más antigua, es el yambú. Es esta rumba que se hace con cajones y se hace en los patios de los solares.
Yo me enteré que tú andas diciendo que eres un palo, mi amigo Julián. ¡Vamos, Julián! Yo me enteré que tú andas diciendo que eres un palo, mi amigo Julián. Ave María, Julián. Tú debes decir, si no fuera por papá. Tú debes decir, si no fuera por papá. Y ahora veo que todo lo tuyo es un vano orgullo, mi amigo Julián. Ave María, Julián. Y ahora veo que todo lo tuyo es un vano orgullo, mi amigo Julián. Ave María, Julián. Tú debes decir, si no fuera por papá. Tú debes decir, si no fuera por papá. ¡Vamos!
Congo y Ambumba me llamo yo. Yo soy el terror. Yo soy el terror rumbero. Yo mismo soy el mejor.
Congo y Ambumba me llamo yo. Yo soy el terror.
Congo, Congo, Congo caballero. Congo y
terror. Yo soy el 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 terror.
Mention Latin music, and most people in North America would think drums. But Latin America also has an old, rich tradition of popular song. In Latin America, the conditions of everyday life give popular music a rare urgency. Confronted by poverty, abuses of power, and violence, singers often also become politicians, teachers, social activists. Their songs are not just entertainment, but battlegrounds. A style emerged in Latin America in the 1960s. It was called Nueva Trova in Cuba, Nueva Canción in South America. The new song blended social concerns and folk forms. It was led by artists like Silvio Rodríguez and Pablo Milanés in Cuba, Atahualpa Yupanqui and Mercedes Sosa in Argentina, Víctor Jara and Violeta Parra in Chile. Brazilian singer and songwriter Milton Nascimento has one of the most extraordinary voices in pop music in the world. He has often used that voice to speak out for those who can't, from the poor in the shanty towns and the rich cities in Brazil to the indigenous people of the Amazon forest.
Desde de 64, né, que começou a ditadura no Brasil, foi uma coisa muito terrível. Muitos amigos sumiram, desapareceram, nunca mais foram encontrados. Muitos artistas brasileiros foram exilados, né, e outros ficaram como resistência. E durante muito tempo, né, a gente não podia falar nada. Tinha que mudar as letras das músicas para tentando dizer a mesma coisa, mas de outra maneira. Aí ia 10 vezes a censura. Chegaram ao ponto de censurar o som da voz sem letra, perguntando o que queria dizer com aquilo. São Vicente foi uma música feita na época da ditadura no Brasil. E, então é uma música que fala do sofrimento todo das pessoas da cidade, de tudo que estava acontecendo, de vidros quebrando, partindo, misturado com tudo, né, que uma ditadura pode levar.
Acordei de um sonho estranho, um rosto, vidro e corte, um sabor de chocolate no corpo e na cidade, um sabor de vida e morte, coração americano, um sabor A espera na fila imensa e o corpo negro se esqueceu. Estava em São Vicente, a cidade e suas luzes. Estava em São Vicente, as mulheres e os homens. Coração americano, um sabor de vidro e corte. As horas não se contavam e o que era negro anoiteceu. Enquanto se esperava, eu estava em São Vicente. Enquanto acontecia, eu estava em São um sabor de vidro e
Eu acho que as pessoas têm que estar com os ouvidos, os olhos, né, a mente aberta para mais além do que as paredes da sua casa, daquele seu mundo. Existe todo um planeta, existe toda uma coisa chamada vida, né? Então eu tenho que falar sobre isso. Chai foi porque durante a viagem que eu fiz pela Amazônia, eu via as pessoas se chamando de Chai. E eu perguntei, o que quer dizer isso? Aí os índios e os seringueiros viraram para mim e disseram que quer dizer mais que irmão, mais que amigo. A metade de mim que existe em você e a metade de você que existe em mim. É isso, é uma maior coisa de lealdade que eu já vi na minha vida, uma maior tema de amor.
Sou eu, Chai, a tua seta viajou, chamou o tempo e parou dentro de todos nós. Já vai e elevando meu amor para molhar teus olhos e fazer tudo bem. Te desejar bom vento, porque a tarde cai. Chai, é quando sou o teu igual, dou o que tenho de melhor e guardo teu sinal. Onde a saudade vem contar tantas lembranças numa só, todas metades, todos inteiros, todos se chamam Chai, tudo se chama nuvem, tudo se chama rio, tudo que vai nascer. Onde achei coragem de ser metade todo teu, outra metade eu, porque a tarde cai e Dona Lua vai chegar com sua noite longa, ser para sempre Chai. Chai, tudo se chama chama rio, tudo que vai nascer. Chai, onde achei coragem de ser metade todo teu, outra metade eu, porque a tarde cai e Dona Lua vai chegar com sua noite longa, ser para sempre Chai.
But not every song in Latin America is a political song. An old tradition in popular song is the Cuban bolero, the romantic ballad. It's what Cuban saxophonist Paquito de Rivera calls a ballad with rice and beans on the side. I have boleros in my blood. My mother, Anoland, was a bolero singer. She was born in Cuba and came to Panama to sing in the 1940s. I remember as a teenager, here in Panama, listening to Benny Moré, Vicentico Valdés, Marco Antonio Muñiz, Lucho Gatica. I can still hear them. The voices are faint now, but boleros will be around as long as love is around.
Tanto tiempo disfrutamos de ese amor. Nuestras almas se acercaron tanto así que yo guardo tu sabor, pero tú llevas también sabor a mí. Si negaras mi presencia en tu vivir, bastaría con abrazarte y conversar. Tanta vida yo te di que por fuerza tienes ya sabor a mí. No pretendo ser tu dueña, no soy nada, yo no tengo vanidad. De mi vida doy lo bueno, soy tan pobre que otra cosa puedo dar. Pasarán más de 1000 años, muchos más, yo no sé si tendrá amor la eternidad. Pero allá tal como aquí, en la boca llevarás sabor a mí. Tendrá amor la eternidad, pero allá tal como aquí, en la boca llevarás sabor a mí, sabor a mí.
Artists like Mario Bauzá, Danilo Perez, Los Muñequitos de Matanzas, and Milton Nascimento are a reminder of how much Latinos have in common and of how different we can be. As we all search for a common language, these artists remind us of the role of the Palladium in New York in the 1950s, when a city divided by day met by night to dance the mambo. They remind us of the power of song to change the world. And as we all search for a common language, they also remind us that we are always speaking to each other in clave.
production of WGBH, Boston.